Okay, we are recording. So welcome back, everyone.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
I want to start off by saying we're kicking off a bit of a series on digestion. We're doing so because we believe digestion is really one of the most important processes that takes place in the body. It's really where rubber meets the road, where the food that you eat and all its importance gets into the body, and then you use the nutrients accordingly. So if you're not putting the right fuel into your body, and then your engine isn't necessarily working well to assimilate those nutrients, this down the road is going to lead to disease. So we decided to take the topic of digestion and look at it maybe over the next few episodes that we get together and pick it apart. And today we'll kind of start off with maybe the beginning process of digestion. And then later on, we'll get deeper into some of the more complex parts of digestion.
Very well put, Joe.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So let's kick it off, and let me put a question out there and ask who can give us a summary of where digestion starts and where's the beginning of that process? What are your thoughts on that?
The beginning of the process for me is in my eyeballs before I start eating.
Yeah, that's important. Tina, I think you're frozen, and now everyone can see your eyeballs.
So maybe I can jump in while we're waiting for Tina to get back on. Yeah. I think many people, Joseph, think that digestion actually begins in the stomach, but the digestion process is actually starting from the mouth. So your teeth, your tongue, and even your salivary glands play a vital role in setting up the digestion process. So it all begins here in the mouth, I think. And of course, as Tina says, begins with your eyes too.
Yeah.
I think my internet was listening to us because it was digesting what we were saying and it stopped working.
Well, it's unfrozen now. We're glad to have you back.
Yeah, so I got what you said. I got what you said, Zeenat, and I agree with you. Joe, sorry, I missed what you just said now.
No, I said we're not going to edit this out. We're going to keep this whole blooper in. So.
Fantastic. Maybe that'll help us upgrade our internet then.
Yeah. So the eyeballs, what part do they play?
Yeah, I think that, so agreeing with Zeenat about your digestion kind of starting in your mouth, but research shows that just by looking at food, you're already starting to work that because you're starting to salivate in wanting something, So if there's something like really delicious and juicy and I'm looking at it, in my mind, I'm already eating it. And so that amylase is already going. So I think having something appetizing or looking at something and wanting to eat it is a really great part of digestion because you're actually prepping your body and saying, hey, this is what I'm getting into my eyes and in my neurotransmitters, and now it's time to prep the body for it at a physiological level.
Yeah, science will say that when you're seeing food, your body is processing that as I'm going to be eating. So you start to release some of the hormones that activate some of the systems that actually start the digestive process. So all of that, the eyes, the mouth, these are all triggers to really get your digestive system going and some efficiency there as well. I think, to tie that back to the world of fast food or of quick food, where necessarily you're not in the kitchen cooking, which we all can't do all the time. But if you're not preparing your body to eat and you're just jumping on some food that, came at you pretty quickly, your body hasn't gotten into that mode. And probably another reason why fast food could be detrimental to your health, because you haven't started that physiological process of, hey, I'm going to be eating, and
Mhm.
digesting, which you would do if you were cooking food. Everyone gets hungry while they're cooking, right? Oh, this is great.
Absolutely.
Chop things up.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. You know, on that note, it's interesting because I did a course, like a cooking course, and we had to cook everything from scratch. And some of the herbs that I used, we had to grind them. And I never did that because I buy mine like pre-ground. Um, and when I was smelling it, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to eat this thing. And I could kind of feel in the back of my mouth, it was tingling, and I was trying
Yeah,
not to like drool outwards. But it's
that's
true.
exactly
And
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's exactly right. And sometimes I would say for me, I take it even a step further, like at night when I fantasize about breakfast in the morning,
Mhm.
I can feel it, right? So agreed with everything you say, Joe.
Yeah, and the amylase, salivary amylase that Zena was bringing up, that is essentially, Tina, when you're having those moments, your salivary glands are pushing that into your mouth. So
Yeah.
when you chew your food, that saliva wraps the food, and basically there's enzymes in there that are going to break down, in this case, mostly carbohydrates,
Yeah.
or start the process of breaking down carbohydrates, because that's
Right.
what those salivary glands release, an enzyme that works on them. Then proteins and fats kind of get broken up in different places inside the digestive process.
Right.
But that's where it begins. Is there anything maybe we want to address around oral health and the digestive process, and how that's starting, since we're kind of up here still?
I know that, 30% of your bacteria actually is in the mouth. So keeping your teeth clean and oral health is so important. Otherwise, you're actually absorbing all the toxins in your gut. So not only is your dentist going to thank you for flossing and brushing regularly, but, it's going to actually help with the bacteria not going into your digestive tract.
I read a study at one point where they traced the bacteria found in the mouth, in the gums, in the teeth, had actually gone in and found inside the cardiovascular system,
Yeah.
Yeah.
in arterial walls where there was plaque. The same bacteria, like you're saying, gets through the system from your mouth, if you're not taking care of your oral health, and can end up as plaque in your heart, that bacteria.
I think I read a similar study, Joe. And in terms of like also the teeth, and I don't know if you guys ever experienced pain, but when I was having tooth pain, it's the worst kind of pain, and it prevents you from eating because you don't want to, you don't want to
Yeah.
chew on it, or you don't want anything to kind of go over it that's hot or cold or whatever. And what I started doing when I was having teeth like that, first of all, I realized that I was eating too much sugar. So when Easter came around and those Cadbury little eggs, yeah, that
The mini
shoots
eggs.
up into my brain from my tooth, and it's like, I can't do this. So
Yeah.
sugar has a huge part to play in decaying your mouth, right? And we find that candida is there too, thrush, with newborn babies and with moms who are nursing, oftentimes you'll find this bacteria all along the baby's tongue, and it's not that it's unattractive, like, yes, but that's not the point. It's so painful as well,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
one of the things
Yeah.
I did a long time ago was I started oil pulling. One of my holistic dentists that I went to told me, start oil pulling, Tina, and use different oils and rotate them because
What do
each
you
oil,
rotate?
yeah.
What do you rotate with? Which oil?
So sesame is kind of the most renowned, like it's probably the most popular and ancient. So I do that, and I also use olive oil, coconut oil.
Coconut. Yeah.
And what I do is I will actually use an essential oil in it as well.
Oh, nice. So you get a little
Yeah.
flavor in there.
Yeah. So if I'm like having tooth pain, clove is awesome for that. I
Yeah.
had a dry socket years ago when I got my wisdom teeth removed, and it was so painful. And when I went back to the surgeon, he actually took a gauze that I didn't know at the time was dipped in clove oil, and
Wow.
he shoved it in my hole, my tooth hole. And when he
Oh,
was doing when he was doing that, it was the worst pain in my life. But as the gauze went in, it actually numbed the pain completely.
Also, myrrh is another one that I know is good for helping to grow back some of the epithelial cells inside the mouth.
Oh, nice.
So if you have like cuts or some sores, similar to what clove does, it's antibacterial as well, and it'll help heal that sore. Like similar, you have a dental story where they were just cleaning too hard in the back of where my wisdom teeth are, which are kind of out and kind of in at the same time. They haven't decided still what they're going to do at 40 years of age. And so when I get it cleaned back there, they dig deep and kind of pull apart the gum. Had an infection. I just would gargle with or swish around some myrrh 3 times a day. And after like the second day, I was like perfect again.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So even with clove, same story. Clove or myrrh, same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. I think we have a good primer there on oral health and the beginning of digestion. I think really the next step, awareness. So understanding it, how do you even know if your digestive system is optimized or if you are digesting properly? I think there's probably a lot of misconception out there around, as part of digestion and if burps and farts are normal. What is your take on that?
They are not normal.
But I know that if your digestive system, I know for me, if it's not optimal, then I know I lack energy after a meal. I feel lethargic. Those are some of the signs, that really tell you that your digestive system is not running at optimum levels. But really your tongue, going back to the mouth, can give you a lot of clues on your digestive health. If you have indentation marks along the outside perimeter of your tongue, know that there's a little bit of malabsorption going on in your body, and your body's not absorbing some of the essential nutrients that you need. So, there's a lot of clues right up there, right? And then of course, if you have malabsorption, that there's poor digestion, there's probably inflammation in the GI tract, or even excessive toxins in your colon.
Zeenat,
first
can I
indication,
touch on one point?
What's that?
I was going to touch on one point on the tongue pieces that you're talking about. To tie that in, I think there's a lot of places on the body that malabsorption or nutrient depletion play out.
Yeah.
Hair, skin, nails, and tongue is also one of those.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're depleted in nutrients over time, there's certain parts of the body that start to give you those indicators. So sorry, I just wanted to jump in and kind of elaborate.
No, absolutely. And I think, like you said, being aware of what your body is doing, how you're feeling, those are some of the great signs that you can say, okay, you know what, there could be a reason, might be low stomach acid, could be dysbiosis, it could be maybe even low bile production or low digestive enzymes in your body. So these are some of the clues that being aware of where your body is at, right?
Tina, what would you ask someone to figure out if their digestion was running optimally?
I usually can tell within the first 5 or 10 minutes because someone will tell me right away if they're having feelings of indigestion. Heartburn is a huge one.
Mm-hmm.
Heartburn is massive. I don't know how many people I've spoke to about heartburn, and then with a couple of suggestions, it went away within 3 days or less even, depending on what they were eating, which some people don't even want to eat. They don't even want to eat. I had a client who said to me, I'm not even gonna drink water because it burns so much, right?
And water will actually heal indigestion in a lot of cases.
Yeah. But it was so bad. The stomach, I knew right away that it was low stomach acid. And so we worked on that. But so I would say heartburn is one of them. Farting, which you so delicately use flatulence as a proper word. Burping, like I'm going to talk about my husband because he's not here. And he's a really clean eater. When he doesn't, though, it is gas town up in here, and he doesn't feel good. And so going back to what Zeenat said, there's no energy, right? You find yourself passing out on the couch or like so lethargic.
Does he draw the connection?
Oh yeah, he does. But he just says like, I just want to. It's whatever, my treat day or whatever. But I'm like, well, now you're passed out, so that's like not a treat for us. Right?
But talking about water, Tina, I just want to make sure everyone's aware that you don't want liquids 15 minutes before or after a meal, because that dilutes your stomach acids, right? So just stay away from liquids before and after, and that's going to be helpful with the digestive system as well.
Yeah, it's so funny because like years ago when my grandma was alive, she would tell me that don't have water with your meals because it'll give you a belly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I would just be like, okay, whatever. But now it's interesting because although that's not necessarily true, it's not what gives you a belly, but it does kind of promote bloating in a sense because it's diluting everything, and so you're working so much harder. So it's interesting how folklore kind of has some kind of merit, but now we can put some science behind it.
So and you know, when people are rushing through a meal as well, right? They're wolfing down their food, and then you're just
burping it all
your
up.
water or your tea with your meal. So you're really not even chewing your meal when you do that. So that causes bloating too.
I think we can do a whole segment on like just how to chew and enjoy your meal. Joe, we keep cutting you off. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I'm just trying to like add little bits in here and there. I'll get them in at some point. I was just gonna say when we're talking and bloating and dilution through too much water intake while you're eating is really about what's called hydrochloric acid, and that's the acid that is promoted in the stomach in order to break down the food and start to build it into a chyme where at least the body can then take it and pull the nutrients out of it. If it's not broken up, if it's not, let's say, disintegrated, digested, then you're going to have troubles lower in the GI. Bloating, for example, if your acid is not breaking down the food in your stomach, then what happens really is your stomach is not ready to release the food in your stomach to start going down the pipe, which is your small intestine. So there's an actual like valve, which is called the pyloric sphincter, where once the stomach acid reaches a certain acidity level, then the body knows, okay, open up this pathway and let the food remove from my stomach and start to go down the passageway through my small intestine. And so if that's not happening, then foods, if your acidity isn't reaching that level to open that valve and let the food go, what's happening is that food's just sitting in your stomach, not digesting or let's say breaking down. And then you'll have things like fermentation happening, which is going to cause that bloating. So if you have like fruits or sugars, carbohydrates that are sitting inside the stomach, along with maybe a meal that has lots of fat and protein, which fat and protein takes much longer to digest than carbohydrates do. So if that's kind of sitting in there, ideally, if your acid is optimal, you're going to break down all three of those macros, carbs, protein, and fat. But if there's not a high acidity level in the stomach, it's going to sit there, maybe even start to come back up as a form of heartburn and bloating and whatnot. So sorry, I just wanted to kind of go into that a bit.
No, that's
great
really
explanation.
Good. And I think that based on what you said too, Joe, that people need to understand that this process took time. It didn't happen overnight. And so although easily fixable, that will also take a bit of time.
Yeah. And, popping Tums and PPIs, proton pump inhibitors, these things basically are meant to actually lower the acid in the stomach, which is contradictory because, you have low stomach acid, and then what you're doing is you're popping a Tums, which is going to basically neutralize the acid in your esophagus down into your stomach, working further against you. And they actually were talking about malabsorption before. Malabsorption will actually, again, you're lowering the acidity in the stomach and not breaking down the food. And it's also science, you can look it up to see that these PPIs or Tums or whatnot, they actually nutrients, calcium being one of them. Yeah.
Absolutely.
What are some dietary options for improving digestion? Tina, what would you say?
So I would say, like right off the get-go, if you can have some apple cider vinegar before in a little bit of water before dinner, that would be good. In your food, there's lots of things you can do to help digestion. So bitters are a great thing to have. I'm not talking about the herbal bitters. I'm talking about actual bitters like dandelion greens and like bitter foods.
Yeah.
It's the one that always grows that we put Roundup on. Dandelions.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
don't do that. But in general, these are bitter foods that you can eat, right? Ginger is a great thing to add to food. It's so helpful with not only digestion, but other digestive issues. In terms of veggies, so having veggies is really good. And we always hear that it's so good for us. But sometimes when people eat them raw, they'll be like, oh, I'm so bloated. You told me this and that. So we've learned that with veggies, until your system is primed enough, like what you said, Joe, about having that optimal level of acid in your stomach to digest it, until then, slightly steam, slightly cook your veggies so that they're able to assimilate a little bit better and you can absorb those nutrients in the bodies. Skin, if organic, if you're buying it organic, I always recommend to keep the skin on. 50% of the nutrients are found in the skin, right? And then you don't have to like spend so much time peeling it. Fruits are great. Apples have something called pectin, which is a really great source of soluble fiber, which is fantastic for your digestion, especially for people who've got high cholesterol. We know that fiber binds to that and helps eliminate it. Yogurts are great. If you can't have dairy, you can try alternative yogurts like buffalo milk, that Guernsey cow milk that I was talking to you guys about last time. They make yogurts as well. You can do sheep, goat. You could even do coconut and almond. They have that, which coconut I like too, because now they've got a cultured coconut. Well, they had it a little while ago. And that's fantastic. That's like amazing bacteria. And actually, some of these kefirs that you can get with probiotic, with like coconut culture and stuff, they're actually more potent than probiotics.
Yeah.
So with that being said, you want to go low and slow in the beginning, because dosing yourself highly with probiotics or with kefir isn't necessarily going to fix the 3 years worth of indigestion that you're having in one meal.
Good point.
So go low and slow and see how you're feeling. And then some other things that I like, that I love including in my foods, are Middle Eastern. So peppermint, like we always have peppermint tea.
Yeah.
And we usually have it after dinner, right? Anytime there's indigestion, peppermint is awesome. Fennel is amazing, both as the vegetable and as the seed. You can boil it and drink it, and it's amazing. We used to do that back home when I was like nothing years old. My grandma would boil fennel seeds, and it would just make you feel so much better if you had that kind of indigestion. Garlic, cinnamon, turmeric is awesome. So those are some herbs that you can add as well to the foods that you're already eating that would really help with digestion.
Great suggestions.
Yeah,
Zeenat, I'm sure you have some lifestyle suggestions that you want to give us.
Yeah, I think, when you eat mindfully, there's so many benefits, right? First of all, it's family time. You can eat together as a family and talk about your day. And it cultivates like great relationships as well. But you also absorb more nutrients and energy from your food when you eat mindfully. That results in, maintaining a healthy weight. So you're not going to be underweight or overweight because you're eating mindfully and you know what you're eating. And then, of course, just you're enjoying your food. You're tasting your food. So the benefits are great. And just chew your food. Your stomach doesn't have teeth. So even just sitting down and eating your food while you're sitting down can help relax you, helps you with digestion. Yeah, lots of kind of, great benefits, right? And then when you have that energy because you're eating well, there's better resilience both mentally and physically, and there's going to be better body composition. So just, take 10 deep breaths. Lots of cultures, they will say a little prayer before they sit down for a meal, and all that is helping your digestive system.
Yeah, I think these are great things for people to implement in their lives. And I think there's also, outside of food, there's also a lot of things that, if you're really far down the line and your digestive system really needs a boost and help, great food is definitely a huge component of that. But you may need a little extra help in this regard. Especially, Tina's describing if you're 3, 4, 5 years of digestive upset and on prescription meds, just switching over to clean food will help, but it's not going to give you that quick result. Jump in as well. I know you guys both use and recommend supplements, but I think there are some key supplements that can help kickstart the digestive process. I think if we're talking again about the acidity in the stomach, you can get enzymes and purchase enzymes that, just like your body produces, these enzymes are actually in supplement form, and you can eat an enzyme just around the time that you're eating that will actually give you the extra boost to digest that food within your stomach, since your body isn't necessarily producing those enzymes. So you could buy those enzymes. They also come with, we were talking about stomach acid, they also come with HCl, which is hydrochloric acid, or betaine. It's in the form of betaine. And basically that is going to add some acidity to your stomach on top of the enzymes to allow you to digest. And these supplements are built in a way that they target carbohydrates and protein and fat, because we do digest them in very different ways. So there's different enzymes in there for each particular macro. Any other types of supplements that you guys would
I know for me,
recommend?
what's worked for me is the bitter herbs. Bitter herbs really stimulate our digestive system, right? So I use herbs like gentian and dandelion, and taking bitters 15 to 20 minutes prior to a meal, it just not only stimulates your taste receptors in the tongue, it helps relieve those digestive juices, right? So the tongue then signals the brain to release the digestive enzymes and produce your bile and stomach acid in preparation for digestion. So I know that when my digestive system was not at an optimal level, the tincture with gentian and dandelion and licorice really helped. And those are some of the bitter herbs that worked for me.
Great one. Yeah, great one. I think, and the idea is that you don't necessarily need to take these again for the rest of your life, but they're a much better alternative than continuous use of Tums or what other prescribed products are out there. And the idea is that you get your body back to a condition by eating the right foods to get back to a condition where you're able to sustain it by yourself. And you don't necessarily need to rely on medication or extra supplements. Tina, anything to add there too?
Yeah, I was just gonna say in summary of both of what you said, that when you're dealing with these digestive issues, there's some things you can do before the meal, exactly what you said, Zeenat, about the herbal. That's gonna act as signals to help your body relearn what to do, because your body has stopped learning what to do. But that takes a while, right? So Joe, what you said about the supplements is bang on, and we're on the same page with the supplement stuff. That's for kind of immediate to intermediate relief. So you need those supplements to get you through now and the next X amount of months, whereas you're using herbs because they're more gentle, they're more stimulation, right? So you're using that as more of a long-term, hey, this is how I'm going to fix this issue or deal with this issue longer term. So depending on the person, I would use both, depending, right? Because some people are fantastic taking pills, whatever. Some people don't. But eventually you need to correct the issue. And I think by strategically combining those two things you guys spoke about, we're going to be on way better trajectory to healing.
Yeah. So I think we gave kind of a broad spectrum of what can be done. There's tons of options out there, and you can use them all together as well. You have your lifestyle options, diet options, and as well, you know, through supplementation, you can really get a full spectrum of help when it comes to digestive issues. So I think we did a pretty good job of kind of kick-starting a digestive series. Maybe we went into too much depth. We'll find out. But I think it was a good precursor to further discussions. Again, I'm excited to have more discussions on these types of topics. And yeah, I think this is a great another great recording. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm happy with us. I like us.
Awesome.
Well, great conversations, guys. Thank you.
You too,
yeah,
guys.
thank you. Take care.
Have a great day.
We'll talk again very soon.
Bye.
You too. Bye.